Welcome to the Life You Love podcast.
We're your hosts, Grace Lemire
and Erin Convertini.
This podcast is for the dreamers and the doers.
For the women who want to create a life they genuinely love waking up to.
We believe that life's short, so let's build one we love. December is when we start to reflect on our spending in the last year, which led us to today's episode topic, things we want to spend more and less on in the new year. It's really interesting to reflect back on all of our purchases and really look at the numbers and what we spent in different categories. And it's definitely made me think through certain spends more than others so that I can be more intentional in 2025. So we're super excited to dive into some of those things today in today's episode.
Yes, I've been spending a lot of time going over my 2024 numbers. I did that kind of like mid-December. I totaled up literally everything. I'm going to post a video about it on exactly how much money I spent in 2024. And it was definitely a lot, but I definitely think again, it makes you realize that some areas you do really value spending the money on. Just because one category was higher than the other doesn't necessarily mean that I want to spend less in that category in 2025. But there are areas too that I'm like, wow, I spent a lot of money there last year and I could probably cut back in 2025. So yeah, I'm excited to chat about all of this. Let's do the areas that we want to spend less on in 2025 first, because I feel like the ones we want to spend more on are more fun. So we'll get the less out of the way. Do you want to go first with your first one?
Sure. I only have a couple, to be honest. I need to do a really granular, nitty gritty search through all of my spending the way that you did, because I just kind of skimmed through all my spending and all my expenses and just kind of looked and was like, okay, what numbers am I looking at and being like, ooh, that should be less, or oh, I feel good about that. But I need to do a nitty gritty one and really add everything up, because there's only two things that I said I want to spend less on. And I feel like that can't be right, but I think one of them is dining out. And here's the thing. I like dining out with my friends. I love the experience of it. This year, I definitely got lazy when all the health stuff happened and I ordered out more than I would have, more than I ever did before. I'm not someone who orders out a ton, simply because it's just, I can't really eat everywhere. So it just becomes a whole thing to try to order out places. But it was kind of worth it in a way, because trying to cook a whole meal when you're in pain is really not ideal, in physical pain. But I think definitely spending less on takeout at next year for sure. Hopefully I won't need to do that again. Hopefully we'll be nice and healthy, but dining out as well, I want to spend less on, and I enjoy the experience of it, going out with my friends, but I do want to prioritize doing other things with my friends. And I don't know, a workout class or doing some sort of art class. I did a paint night with my friend and that was really fun, or seeing a show. I feel like I get into this routine where it just becomes dinner. It's always dinner and I want to do different things. And I also think sometimes I go to dinner and I stopped drinking this year, so I haven't drank since July. But before that, we would go to dinner, we get 2 drinks. That adds $30 to your bill every time. My friends and I would go out once a week. And so it was it just got to be too much. And I definitely want to cut back how much I spend on dining next year and try to redirect some of that to just doing other activities with my friends.
Yeah, I love that. This is an area that I put on my list as well, but I think it's not just dining out as a whole, kind of like you mentioned, takeout. I don't spend a lot of money on takeout, but I also don't really value spending money on takeout. So continuing to be mindful about that. But then dining out when it comes to going to a restaurant, for example, my boyfriend and I aren't big date night dinner people. We both really love to cook and we both really love to eat at home. So our date nights are kind of cooking meals at home together and sitting out on his balcony and drinking wine and stuff. And we really love that. So continuing that. But then when it comes to dining out with my friends, I do really value going to a restaurant and sitting there with my friends for a couple of hours and drinking a glass of wine and getting appetizers and stuff. But I do think it's in moderation. And it's worth it for me to go on a Wednesday night or something and sit there and get a glass of wine and stuff, because you're getting hours with your friends and you get to talk and hang out and everything. But like you said, if you get that second glass of wine and if you're eating a whole meal and you're going to a nice steakhouse and stuff, so there's definitely a way to balance it. But yeah, I said being mindful about it in 2025 as well. And I think the other half of that is I really want to make it a priority to host people over more in 2025 and have more nights where it's girls nights in and just hanging out here. Or when I buy my house in 2025, I really want to prioritize having some type of dining area, because I don't have a dining room table here. So it's kind of hard when I have people over. We don't really have a place to gather and sit and do things. But I see a bunch of people doing those girls nights where they will paint wine glasses toys or like paint
Mhm.
pumpkins around Halloween and stuff like that. And like that's so fun to me too. So I think it's less about like the amount of money that I spend going out, but more about like it's more fun to me to have a girls' night in and hang out with my friends because it's all just about like the time spent sitting there talking and like having deep conversation.
I agree completely. I'm actually having the weekend that we're filming this, or we're filming this on like a Thursday, but this coming weekend is going to be the 22nd of December. And I'm having my friends over for a little like paint night. And we're going to do, I've never really hosted people. I've had my friends over maybe like twice, but I found these like, they're like wooden trees from Target. And then it has like this clear dome that goes on top and it comes with battery operated string lights that you put inside. So it kind of makes this little like snow globe-esque thing, but you paint the trees like however you want to paint them. And the kits were like $13. So I got them for all my friends. And I mean, everyone paid for their own, but then I'm hosting. So I'm going to get like, we're going to make homemade pizzas. And then there's going to be like a dessert charcuterie board. I've been so excited about this for the last like month because we've had it in the works for a while. And I feel like that is a better, like, I would rather do more of that. Like you said, more hosting and hanging out than always going to a restaurant. And I do think that dining out gets more expensive for me because of the allergies and stuff. Like a lot of the food just costs more. And I'm starting to feel like I would rather just, yeah, make things at home or do like a picnic or like, I mean, I don't drink, but like a wine night and I just have like a non alcoholic wine or something like that, where it's just, it's not always like a big thing. More affordable friend hangouts, I think would be fun.
Yeah, and when you do
Um,
friend hangouts, you can incorporate more of like the activities and stuff. Like you said, like you guys
yeah,
are doing a craft. Last night, my friend Haley hosted a Christmas party, and we did
looks
one of
so
those.
cute.
Yeah, we did one of those favorite things parties where everyone brings three of the same item, and all three items had to total $50 or less. So my favorite thing was I brought a Dr. Pepper flavored poppy because that's my favorite flavor poppy, and I love to drink them out of a wine glass. But I got these cute instead of a wine glass. I did these really cute like glass tumblers with the wooden top and the straw, and that was my little like favorite things gift, and it was so
So
fun. Like I was
cute.
over there for 4 to 5 hours with a couple of girls, and we like exchanged little like stocking stuffer presents and just hung out and like ate snacks, and it was so fun.
See, and I feel like that is like so much more fun. Like I'd rather do that than spending like $75 on a dinner, you know? Or
Mhm.
even just going to a workout class or going and sitting at a cafe and just getting coffee and hanging out or going for a walk and like I don't know. I just feel like yeah, stuff like that. Spending less on dining out but like redirecting it elsewhere. The other thing that I on my list that I said, the only other thing, I only had two that I said I would want to spend less on is makeup. And this is interesting because it's not something I actually spend a ton of money on currently. Like I really don't. I try to use up everything that I have. And I genuinely when I buy new makeup, it's usually because like I just bought mascara because I ran out of mascara. But I think I want to be I really want to figure out in 2025 my perfect makeup routine because my skin changed a lot this year. I had, when all the gut health stuff happened, I started breaking out everywhere. And then when the whole allergic reaction to my nail products happened, I had like a rash all over my face. My poor skin was like so dry and it was just a hot mess. And I felt like I kept changing makeup products because my skin kept changing. And I would get like a concealer or something and be like, this is perfect for my dry, crusty, like eczema covered skin. And gosh, if you have eczema, you just know it was so bad from the contact dermatitis I had from the nail products. But I would get a product, and then when my skin would change, that product doesn't really fit anymore. And same thing with skincare. So in 2025, I really want to find my perfect makeup routine that I'm like, yes, this is amazing now that my skin is back to normal, and just kind of stick with it and use all those products up. I think there was this video, I think it was called Project Pan, I think, I believe. If I can't remember the exact name, but it was this girl saying that she's doing Project Pan or whatever it's called, where basically you try to like hit pan on all of your products, which is when you like get to like the bottom of them. And she was saying, she's like, I haven't bought like, I don't know what type of product it was, a concealer or something or foundation in like, it would have been over a year. And I think it's normal to want to change your makeup up a little bit or have a couple of like a couple lipstick options or a couple blush options and stuff, but being really intentional about using everything up. And I have been for sure. Like I only own like three blushes and two of them were gifted to me. Same thing with concealer. I own like two, but I do want to be intentional about more so just having like one of
Yeah.
everything and just keeping it small and not feeling the pressure to like go buy the new product.
Yeah, makeup is the one area of my life that I've like honestly really nailed, and I like never buy makeup. I posted a video about like how much I spent on beauty in 2024, and I spent 85 total dollars on beauty this year because I literally bought like I wear the L'Oreal Glotion. It's a skin
Yeah,
tint. I like
yeah.
don't even own not mascara, foundation, and I repurchased that like a couple of times, and then I bought mascara twice, but I buy like drugstore. So each of those products are like 10 or $15 or whatever. But that's all I purchased this year because it's like if you think about it, all of the other products that I wear, which like isn't much, I wear like a bronzer that has lasted me the last like year and a half and it's still full. And like concealer, I will wear like every once in a while if I have like a pimple or something. That's gonna last me literally years. It'll probably expire before I like end up using all of it. But like you never have to repurchase that. Or like the hair mask that I've had since the middle of 2023 and it's still over
Yeah.
halfway full because I don't use that much of it. So you would be surprised like once you find your perfect like whatever, it's going to last you so long and you don't have to
Yeah.
actually spend that much money on it.
Yeah, I was trying to like use everything up really intentionally, even products I didn't love, which definitely sucks. But I had this one like say it wasn't the skin tint. I don't remember what it was, some sort of like foundation product that I had. And I honestly didn't love it. I don't feel like it kind of brought out the texture of my dry skin. But I was like, I'm gonna use it up. And I finally used it up a couple weeks ago. I think I've had that thing for like a year and a half because a little goes a long way. I just was determined to use it all up. I've had a powder blush. I still have it. I've had it. It's definitely expired at this point, but it's a powder blush. Like you use a tiny bit of it. I don't
Yeah.
know if I've ever hit pan on a powder blush because of how much like, and I have a Rare Beauty blush, like a cream blush. I've probably had it for 2 years. I'm not even kidding because I think it was a Christmas gift like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it still has a crap ton of product in it.
My
like,
favorite hack for makeup is to always, if it's a new product, always buy the travel size version because 9 times out of 10, you're never going to run out of it. I had
Yeah.
a couple years ago, I think I was literally in college when I bought this. It was one of those Milk Makeup contour sticks, the mini
yeah.
one that's like literally this big. And it lasted me like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like it never runs out. So yeah, always buy the travel one to make sure that you like it because it'll be like $14 if you're buying like super expensive makeup at Sephora. And then you can like make sure that you actually like it.
Yeah. No, that's a smart. I should do that with a lot of the stuff that I get once I finish up what I'm using.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I have 2 more things on my spending less list. And I feel like you'll agree with some of this. So the first one is I said spending less on small weekend like girls trips. 2024 I think was like the last year that I think I ever want to go on like a gigantic girls trip with like 8 to 10 girls. I love my friends to death and I like love them all so much individually that I feel like I get more quality time with them when I hang out with them individually or in like a smaller group. But we did a couple of girls trips this year where it was like 8 to 10 girls. And honestly, I think I'm just getting a little bit too old for that and just like don't enjoy being around that many people for that long anymore.
8 to 10 is like a crowd now. It's
That's
like we
so
used to
many.
like we used to go to concerts and like be around thousands of people or whatever in like the pit, and now it's like
Yeah.
oh gosh, like a group of 10. I'm like that's too many.
Yeah, we went to Miami in March with I think 9 or 10 girls. And it was honestly like the whole time I was like, this is just way too much. First of all, none of my friends like to go out anymore, including me, obviously. And so when we go on these girls trips, we're kind of like, we feel pressured to go out because you're like on a trip, but then no one really wants to. So it's like, why did we come here regardless? Like all of my friends are kind of at a point now where like we all live in different cities. We all live in like relatively cool cities. So I've been doing a lot more of like just going to visit one of my friends in like Florida or something and like hanging out with her for the weekend. So I'll be spending less money this year, like going to Miami with 10 girls and more just like going to Florida and staying with my friend and like hanging out and having quality time.
No, I honestly don't blame you. My friends are not. Feel like I have a small circle of friends, so we're not like we don't do like girls trips or whatever. So I definitely have like lucked out in that regard from like saving money, but. Yeah,
they're
I feel
expensive.
like now, I mean, one of my best friends is moving to Charlotte, North Carolina in February, and I'm very excited to be able to come visit her and to have her come visit me. And all of my friends like are excited to visit me in my new city. And I don't know, I feel like that's kind of like that's the move. Then you don't have to pay for anywhere to stay. You can cook at their apartment. Like it's just a bit more chill and cost effective.
Yeah,
rather
no,
than like some
definitely.
big like rager for a weekend.
Yeah, I went to go visit one of my best friends in Florida in January, and it was the best trip ever. It was just her and I. We like went to the gym, we cooked dinner together, we like went to the beach one night and had a little picnic. We went to dinner one night, but like we spent virtually no money that trip because we were just like spending quality time together, and it was so fun. It still felt like a vacation because I don't live in Florida, but yeah, way more cost effective and way more fun in my eyes. And then the last one on my less list is groceries. And this one is never an area where I said that I wanted to spend less because I always justified it as like, well, I eat healthy. So if I'm eating healthy, then like I'll spend however much because like I prioritize my health. But I could definitely be more intentional with my groceries. When I recapped my spending, I averaged between like $400 and $450 a month on groceries in 2024. And I just feel like there's a lot of room for me to cut that back. I would love to get
Mm.
it down to like 300.
It's funny because I almost put groceries on my spend less thing, but I was looking back like month over month, and it's funny because when I moved in to my apartment, and it was I moved in the middle of January, but then in February, I think I spent like it was like $180 on groceries or something. It was like very low, very low. And I was so surprised. And then I noticed throughout the year, it's just gotten higher and higher and higher. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I know that I used to not be able to eat beef. Like my body just like could not digest it, but then I finally was able to. So I've been buying a lot of like beef in the latter half of the year because I'm just like hyped to finally be able to eat a steak. And the thing is though, which I know like that type of stuff's more expensive. And then obviously like when I was on that special diet to cure the SIBO and stuff, there was only so much I could eat. So I was trying to get creative and try new recipes and all these things. So I was buying more, but like I was like, why? I went from 180 to like one month it was like 350 or 400. I was like, what the hell? And I almost did put on my spend less on thing to be like, I want to spend less on groceries. But then I was like, you know what? Some people are out here spending like $1,000 on these. And I was like, I do want to eat healthier and try more. Like, I don't buy a lot of like, what is it called? Like special, like specialty, like gluten free, this,
Like
like gluten
packaged
free.
stuff.
Yeah. Like, or if I want to buy, for example, when with my friends coming over this weekend, we're going to do homemade pizzas. And me and one of my other friends we're both allergic to gluten and dairy. So I bought some gluten free pizza crusts for two pizza crusts. It's $10. And that doesn't even include, I have to buy the sauce. And then I'm going to buy us dairy free mozzarella. A ball of like dairy free mozzarella, I'm not even joking, will be like $9. And we'll probably use the whole ball between like our pizzas because it's not that big. And I'm like, for me to do something like that myself, it would be like $20 for a pizza, which I guess is not that bad considering what it would be at a restaurant. But I don't buy a lot of that stuff. I just get like mostly just regular whole foods that are naturally gluten free with the occasional like gluten free pretzels or something like that. But I try to limit it because I feel like those specialty items are so expensive. But even then, I'm like, what the heck am I spending like, yeah, 350 on? Literally, we're halfway through December when we're filming this, and I have already hit my $250 grocery budget. I know I'm already over. And I'm like, what the heck have I done this month? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
You should go to Sam's Club because I buy like almond flour, which is gluten free.
Mm-hmm.
And I, every time I get it at the grocery store, it's like $12 for a little like container
Crazy.
of it. But I just really like it. I like the macros in it and stuff. But I went to Sam's Club and they had for the same like $12 price point, this bag was like, so it was probably 3 times the size. So maybe check
Yeah.
Sam's Club if you want
Yeah, I
to.
know people where I'm moving, there's a Costco, and I've never had, we don't have Costco around here. And not like, I mean, around the area that I live in. I don't even know if we have it in Mass, but we have BJ's, but I don't really go, like, I don't have a membership to BJ's, but I'm really debating getting a Costco membership because I feel like for certain things like that, it would make a lot of sense. And for meat, I started shopping specifically at Aldi to buy meat and I'll stock up. I literally went there, bought like $75 worth of meat at the beginning of this month and have used it the entire month because it's so much cheaper there than other places. But
Yeah.
I will see.
I do definitely think that my grocery spend has gone up a lot like mid-year as well because I started incorporating a lot more like red meat and
Yeah.
seafood. Like I buy a lot of salmon and stuff. Whereas earlier this year, and like prior to 2024, I was primarily only eating white meat, like chicken and turkey. But then I started incorporating like a lot more variety too, which definitely does make it more expensive, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
I also like have found myself too, last thing I'll say on this and we'll move to the spend more on things, but I've also found myself buying like, for example, if I'm gonna buy like a butternut squash, I'll just get the one that's already like peeled. I'll cut it myself, like the one that's already peeled. Or if I'm gonna get green beans, I'll just get like I'll just buy like the bag that's already kind of like prepped, not necessarily like the fruit that's cut and things like that, but I find that those things are a bit pricier. But I'm like, what the heck am I going to do with an entire butternut squash? Like, I'm just one girl, you know?
Mhm.
And eating that, or like a spaghetti squash or something, like I'll just buy the spaghetti squash that's already cut because, or peeled, because again, I don't want to spend 45 minutes peeling a spaghetti squash. And also, it's just me. Like, what am
Mhm.
I? It's so much food. And
Yeah.
I can't, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's like too much that I can't eat
I
all of
buy
it.
a
And
lot of frozen vegetables because of that, because I
yeah,
do feel like a lot of my vegetables end up going to waste.
yeah, I
So the
try to
frozen ones are
freeze
good.
as much as I
Mhm.
can, but yeah, I also have been more conscious about like, I buy like the almond milk that doesn't have any like gums in it. It's just almonds and water. And that's literally like $6 a bottle. But I do feel like I feel better when I drink that versus like almond milk that has all the gums. It's like cheaper. So I don't, but I also have a very sensitive stomach. So I feel like, I don't know. I would love to spend less, but I would love to like continue
Yeah.
eating as well as I do, which
Right.
I
Like
feel
I
like,
buy the
yeah,
pasture raised eggs that are literally $10 a
yeah,
dozen, and
yeah.
I am going to continue doing that.
Yeah. I just like,
Like,
I would love to spend less on groceries, but I think if I'm being self aware, the way that I want to eat, I don't think I'm going, I think I'm in fact going to spend more on groceries in
okay.
2025. I
Put
think
that
that's
on your
what's going
more
to end
list.
up, yeah, what's going to end up happening. Okay. Things I want to spend more on. Okay. Number one on my list is travel. I did travel a ton this year and I feel like I did spend a decent chunk on it. I really should do the math on it. But one thing I want to do in 2025 is using my points more wisely and actually redeeming them. I feel like you would literally be like, Grace, what the frick? I have so many credit card points and I literally just don't redeem them. I don't know what, like, I'll do it like here and there. Like I've done it to cover my friends' flights, or like if we're going somewhere, like my friend Nicole and I went on a trip to San Diego. I just covered our flights to San Diego with points because she was coming with me to check it out as a potential place to move. So I was like, I'm not going to make her pay for it, whatever. But and I've done that a couple times, but I don't redeem them. Like I'll just, like if I'm going to go somewhere and it's like a $500 flight, I'll just like pay the 500. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I have credit card points. I just don't, that it doesn't make any sense. For a while I wanted to like hoard my points because I really want to go, I want to take my family on like a nice vacation and I want to be able to like cover the flights because otherwise I don't think it would be feasible for all of us to be able to like afford to go on a nice vacation, considering flights and hotels and all of that. But I do want to be smarter about my points so I can travel more and also going to places that I've always wanted to go. There's been a lot of places on my list where I feel like the travel I did in 2024, a lot of it was for work or a specific purpose, which I think I said in another episode too. Like I was going to look at it as a potential place to move or for work or whatever, but I want to go more places for pleasure. So I know that that will naturally lead me to spending more on travel overall. But
Yeah.
hopefully the points will like help subsidize the cost because I need to just like get better about that.
Yeah, I used so many of my credit card points in 2024. Like, I honestly don't have any more left. And like, since I'm buying a house, I'm not like messing with any of my credit cards. I'm not like
Yeah.
applying for a new card until I get a house and all of that. So yeah, I won't be using credit cards for the at least the first half of 2025. Or I won't be using credit card points. I will still be using my credit cards. But yeah, I put travel on my list as well because in the back half of 2025, I want to make international travel a priority. Kind of for the same reason. I feel like in 2024 and 2023, I was traveling a lot just for random little like weekend trips that still end up costing you so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I just stop doing all of that, I could take like one gigantic
Yeah.
international trip because there are so many places I want to go. And these are places that I want to go like before I have children,
Mm-hmm.
because then it won't really be that possible. So yeah, spending more on travel in 2024, but probably just like one big international trip. The first one on my list for spending more in 2025, I said hair care and skincare. So things like I really want to get one of those LED masks. I've been seeing them all over TikTok and I'm being influenced, but they're like $400 to get a nice one. But I really do think they work. Like everyone I've seen or that I follow that uses them, they definitely work. So that and then like face masks, supplements, collagen, all of that. Just I really want my hair and my skin to be really healthy in 2025.
Quick little side note, because I literally just made a video about this for one of my clients. If you have FSA or HSA funds, you can use them on products like the LED mask. And there's a website called FSA Store. And if you go to it, it's like they're embedded into the same websites, FSA Store and HSA Store for anyone listening. And you can get like the Dr. Dennis Gross, however you say his last name, mask. Like it's like a $400 LED mask. You can buy Supergoop sunscreen. You can buy Peter Thomas Roth skincare. Like you can get all like really nice stuff on there. Not all beauty or skincare products, but a lot of stuff, and use your pre-tax dollars for it, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I do not have any of those
Me
being
either.
self-employed, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of people listening do. So that's a great tip. But yeah, and then also probably spending more on like hair appointments and stuff this year. I haven't gotten my hair done in literally like 7 or 8 months, and it's looking really raggedy, and I've just been like putting off getting it done.
Not look raggedy. It does not.
It needs a trim, and the color needs touched up so bad, but I really want to be like a rich chocolatey brown in 2025. I've been thinking about my 2025 rebrand, and that's on my vision board is to get my hair done. So yeah, just spending more money on that.
No, I love that. I also almost put beauty on my list too, but then I was like, here's the thing. I do already spend not a lot, but I spend a decent chunk in that category, because this year I really started trying to like invest back into my appearance, and like I get Botox and I get filler done and I get my hair done. I had to stop getting my nails done because of the reaction that I had, but like I want to do that. I get waxes every month. Like I do spend a decent bit on beauty. So I was like, should I say that I want to spend more on that? Like perhaps not, but I think realistically I will. I don't know. I think investing in your appearance is like important, and also I just like the confidence that it gives me to be able to do that. I also need to get my hair done desperately, but I'm trying to push it to like right before I move, but we're definitely hanging on by a thread over here. We definitely are. Okay, next one on my list is, I said clothing, but buying less. It's funny because this is another category where I really don't spend a ton on clothing compared to other people. I feel like in our age group, like when you look at some people on TikTok, you can just see they're constantly buying clothes like over and over. It's just, that stresses me out because like I've said before, I hate having excess things just like lying around. It really stresses me out. But I am starting to learn more about clothing quality and splurging on pieces that will last rather than cheaper clothes. So if I'm gonna buy a cardigan, like if I'm looking at my wardrobe and I'm like, okay, it's missing a cardigan, I need a good cardigan to kind of like complete a lot of these outfits I want. I'm not gonna just like go to Target or go to Abercrombie or go to like the first store or whatever and just buy a cardigan there. I want to find one that's like a piece I'm going to keep. So maybe I buy something that's like wool or cashmere or like 100% cotton. Like I'm really buying things that I can see lasting. And I think that will end up leading to buying less clothes because I'm shopping more intentionally, but I think it could lead to spending more on clothing because I'm investing in higher quality pieces. I also had this like reflection earlier this year when I was going through, I've done a closet clean out twice this year, and because I was just like too much of a wimp the first time and didn't get rid of enough. And the second time, like, or both times, I was like thinking about it. Some of the pieces, there's a shirt that I have that I bought for my 21st birthday that I still own to this day, and it still fits me. And I've realized my body hasn't really changed that significantly. I haven't changed that significantly in size over the last like 5 years. So certain things like good quality shoes, especially my feet have not grown in forever. Good quality shoes, good quality jackets, basics, things like that. For me, it personally makes sense to invest in higher quality pieces because I also now have proof of like, okay, I'm going to wear these things for years to come. So I think I will definitely spend more, and I definitely want to spend more on clothes. Just now that I've gone through and did the closet clean out, I've gotten through so much. I really don't have that much clothes anymore, and I definitely need to rebuild my wardrobe at this point. But I know that I want to do it really intentionally and buying high quality pieces that will probably cost more.
Yeah, I said the same thing. That was on my list as well. And I know we talked about that in the New Year's goals episode as well. So if you haven't listened to that yet, definitely go check it out. But yeah, buying intentionally is going to be really important for me in 2025. I'm like really trying to find like, what is my personal style? What do I feel the best in? What is like the vibe that I want to give off in 2025? And like, how can my clothes reflect that? And I really just don't think that I like did a good job in the past of like buying pieces that like help me put outfits together that I feel really good in, or like are in my color palette and things like that. So I have been saving a lot of things on Pinterest. I've been like trying to put outfits together and like identifying the gaps and stuff. So that's going to be a work in progress in 2025 as well. Okay, the next one that I said, and I really don't have much more on my list.
Me either.
But this one is fitness. And like, this is an area that I was super hesitant of like putting on my list because I do already spend like a decent amount on fitness every month. I spend $170 between my $100 a month gym membership and then I pay for ClassPass, which is $70 a month. But I would like be totally fine spending even more than that in 2025 because I feel like this year since moving down to Nashville, I've like really seen the benefit of spending a lot of money on a gym membership. And when I move back to Pittsburgh, there's one gym that I know that I want to join that I feel like is more expensive than my current gym, but it's like so awesome. It has a co-working space, it has saunas, it has a pool, it has like tennis courts, it has fitness classes, it just like has so many things. And I'm definitely still going to do ClassPass in Pittsburgh too. And I just feel like that's like my me time. That's my time out of the house during the week. I literally go to my gym like once or twice a day. Like sometimes I'll go twice, just like walk on the treadmill and like get out of my head if I like need to get some steps in at the end of the day. So I definitely get my use out of it, and I would be totally fine spending a lot more money on fitness.
I also had fitness on my list, like basically for the same reason. I am moving to a city where ClassPass is a thing because I currently live somewhere where like there's like two places. If I were to get ClassPass, there's literally like two places I could use it in like a 25-minute radius. But I feel like even if it weren't a thing, like if ClassPass didn't exist in the city that I'm moving to, I would probably just get a Pilates membership and pay whatever it is. And when I looked into a Pilates membership around where I live, it was like $300 a month. And it didn't even, that wasn't unlimited classes. That was like a few a week. I know I just started doing Legree classes with my neighbor, and I love Legree, but they're literally $32 per class. And I can't like, right now I can't justify it, and buying a package doesn't make sense since I'm leaving in a month. But I would love to do something like that. Every time I leave a Legree class, I feel so strong. I feel like I just got such a great workout in. And if I pay for a class, like I'm going to be there. So I also definitely see myself spending more on fitness. I mean, I only spend like $80 on it right now a month. That's my gym membership. And I don't like my gym. I think that's also the problem. I feel like it's not worth $80 a month to me. So I'd rather spend $100, $200 a month, whatever, for something that I actually
Yeah.
enjoy. But
Before I
yeah.
joined my gym in Nashville, I thought the people that were spending like $300 a month at Equinox in New York City were like absolutely insane. But now that I go to a gym that I actually like really love, and my gym in Nashville isn't like crazy nice by any means. They don't have like fitness classes, but I really like the layout of it. It has a sauna. It's really good for what I need it to be, and it's $100 a month. And now I'm like, I would totally pay 300 if it was three times as nice as this, because it's like
Yeah.
you're there every single day. Like it's such a big part of your life.
I agree. And I also feel like you have to think about like the type of exercise you enjoy, what you want to show up to, and what motivates you to go. Because I realized my old gym that I was going to back when I lived at my parents' house, it was a much smaller gym, and it was like $45 a month, I think. And I liked the layout of it. I felt like it was never super packed. Like there were definitely prime times for sure where it was busier, but it was never like insane. The gym that I go to now is bigger, and it's a madhouse no matter when you go. It is just there's people everywhere constantly. The layout doesn't make sense. Like the layout is just I don't enjoy it. There's not really a lot of spaces to just like roll out a mat and like do an ab workout or something, which I like to like end workouts with that type of stuff. That's what I used to do at my old gym. I don't love it, and it makes me not want to go as much. Same with the classes. The classes they have are not at really great times. Like they're mostly in the morning at like 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, and I like to work out in the evening. So it doesn't really work for what I need. So I'd rather spend more money on something that I actually enjoy.
Totally agree.
I think you have the next one because I you said fitness, I said fitness.
Oh, okay.
Now it's back to you. We just said the same thing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the next one on my list is home. And I did spend a good amount on home stuff this year because I moved down here and spent so much money moving to Nashville. And now I'm preparing to move back and spend even more money. And it's fine. I think the experience moving down here was totally worth all of the money that I spent. But I am being self aware in the fact that I'm going to be spending a lot more money in 2025 on home stuff. And purchasing a home is really scary because you're like admitting to yourself that you're going to be in the same place for like 5+ years. So if I'm going to be in the same place for 5+ years, I'm only buying furniture once. Like I'm not going to buy
Yeah.
a dining room table that in 2 years I want to buy a more expensive dining room table. I'm going to buy the thing that I'm going to want to keep in that house for a very significant amount of time. and that is going to fit the space. So yeah, I'm probably going to be spending a lot of money on furniture just to like make the house what I want it to be, and that's going to cost literally so much money, but it's fine.
No, it's okay, girl. We're in it together. I have to buy all new stuff when I move too, so I already know it's gonna add up. But hey, that's why we track our spending and pay attention to our spending so that we can
And
enjoy
work
things like
hard
that.
and
Yes, and work hard for this. Yeah. Okay, that stressed me out.
at least you don't have kids.
Yeah, my gosh. I can't even, I mean, furnishing a whole house is obviously different than like furnishing an apartment for sure. Although I guess you don't have to do all of it at once. Like you can be like, okay, let me wait and like pick out a dining room table that I love. And, you know, like you don't have to buy everything like the same weekend that you move in. Or if you're like, okay, let me pick out another rug later on. Or, you know, like, so once you do buy, like whenever that happens, you can just like, you don't have to do it all at once. But it is definitely a hefty amount when you buy a house because then you have like the down payment, the closing costs. But yeah, okay, that's stressful. We're gonna move on out of like getting secondhand stress. Okay, the last one on my list that I said I want to spend more on, I really didn't have much on here. The last one I want to spend more on is hobbies. I just want to do more things outside the house. Like we were talking about this in the New Year's goals episode as well, because one of my goals is to do more hobbies outside the house. I just like want to get out more, and I think a lot of times I do keep a pretty small budget for like entertainment and dining in comparison to like what I've seen in other like budgeting videos and things like that. I do keep it pretty low, and I do want to give myself more space for that. I think I definitely pressure myself to save and invest like as much as humanly possible, and I do also have like recurring medical expenses that take up like $500 of my budget every month that could be allocated elsewhere. But I think I want to try to give myself a little bit more freedom and flexibility to spend on entertainment type of stuff, like doing different hobbies. So whether that's, you know, again, going to like a paint night or doing trapeze classes, which I mentioned in the other episode, like I really want to do that. I feel like it'd be so fun. Or just, I don't know, just stuff like that, trying new things, because I do have hobbies, but they're all at home, and I am moving to a new city. I think that's a great way to meet people, is to get out and do different things like that. But I just want to be more of an interesting person. Like when someone's like, "Oh, what are your hobbies?" I'm like, "I do this and this and that," rather than just being like, "Yeah, I just like stay inside all the time." And I don't know. I feel like this is the time to do it too, when I'm young and I don't, you know, like I can go do something after work. I don't know. I used to always get in my head and be like, well, because when I did trapeze, we only did a couple classes, but they were like $75 a class. Like it's pretty pricey, and you can buy a package that makes it more affordable. But I'm like, oh, spend the money and just like enjoy it. Like if you really enjoy a hobby, spend the money to do it. It's like, again, a great way to meet people. It's good to like just challenge yourself, do something different. But I would always be like, oh no, it's like too expensive. Don't spend the money. You could save that. You could invest it. You could put it towards whatever else. And this year, I just want to be like, no, go spend the money, do the hobbies, have fun, and all will be well.
Yeah, I think boys are a lot better at spending money on hobbies, and I think that's
Yeah.
because boys typically don't shop.
I was gonna say they don't shop and they don't have to spend anything on like, I mean, like not
Yes.
anything, but they're not spending on like beauty maintenance the way that we
Their hair
are.
appointments are like $20 and 20
Ugh,
minutes long. It's
it's
insane.
so rude.
But yeah, like boys golf and they ski. They have like expensive hobbies, like
Mm-hmm.
hunting and fishing. Those are expensive hobbies, and we
Mm-hmm.
spend like no money on hobbies. I feel like golfing could potentially be fun, but that's also one of those things that like the barrier to entry is so high
Mm-hmm.
from a money perspective, and you have to like take lessons and get really good at it, and like all of that, and buying clubs is expensive and going to a country
Yeah.
club is expensive. So I feel like that's one of those that like long term I feel like it could be fun, but the barrier to entry is probably just too high, so I feel like I'll probably never do it. But tennis is a good option. That's like the
Mm.
barrier to entry is a lot
Yeah, or
lower.
like
So I told myself in
pickleball. Yeah.
2024 that I wanted to pick up tennis, and I just didn't do it, so maybe we
Mm.
can do that in 2025. But
Yeah, I would love to try pickleball. I feel like everyone and their mother is like on a big pickleball kick still. I feel like that trend was like trending all year. I know a lot of people say that running is really expensive too because you need like proper shoes or you'll like hurt
mm,
yourself. Yeah. Apparently it's like, I don't know, like causes like the runners can chime in like Spotify, but apparently if you are running in like non-running shoes, it's like really bad for your feet, I guess. So then you need to get like good ones, but then apparently good ones are expensive. I don't know. When I was like deciding to try running as a hobby, I got lots of tips and advice, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is more than I thought it was going to be. And then I like only ran twice, and then I was like, that's enough. Maybe
yeah,
I'll
I
run
hate
more when I
running.
move.
I hate
I
it
would love
so
to be a
much.
runner. I feel like it's such a flex to be like, come run like 15 miles with me, or like, oh, I just ran a quick 10 miles before work today. I'm like, you're so cool. Like people who say that, I'm like, you're literally the coolest person ever, and I respect you so much because the discipline to be able to like work your way up, to be able to run that length of time, I'm like, you're so insane and cool and like amazing. And I admire you. And I would love to be that type of person where I'm like showing up for myself and running and committing to getting better at it. But if, yeah, you can go back and watch the video where I literally ran for 15 minutes. I was
I
like, that's
remember that
enough.
video.
Yeah, I was like, that's enough. Like, I was like, granted, it
Yeah.
was also like 98 degrees that day or something. And I went out when like the sun was like at its peak or whatever. So it was stupid. Like, why would I? This is the first time running in years. Why would I do it on a day where it's 98 degrees and like, no, try again and be smarter. But yeah, I would love to try running, but
Yeah.
I
I
don't
would
know.
not. I probably won't do that in 2025. I have no desire to. I just don't
I
enjoy
would
it,
not.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that was the last one on my list. I actually don't have anything else that I want to talk about. So I think that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. Leave any questions, feedback, episode ideas in Spotify, or you can DM us at The Life You Love Pod on Instagram. We love hearing from you guys. But thanks for tuning into the podcast, and until next week.